Well, let me set the table while Dick gets in. We were going up to Western Pennsylvania, a town called Dubois. Well, I know I got wrong.
You said it correctly, but some people call it.
The locals up there got pissed at me.
Oh, what happened?
Dubois, goddamn.
Dubois, yeah.
I said it's Dubois.
Yeah.
Right there. We started out, it was April, massive snowstorm, what they call a nor'easter, was coming up through Pennsylvania, headed up the eastern coast. Before we got there, it dumped somewhere around 29 inches of snow.
Wow.
We were sitting in a Ford F-150 truck, excuse me, a 250. It's a little bit bigger. Oh, yeah, 26 hours from Oklahoma to Western Dubois, Pennsylvania. And we were sitting in a restaurant on I-70, I think it was in Ohio somewhere, and they were forecasting blizzard conditions. Now, the last thing I wanted to do was spend 5 days in a Motel 6 on I-70. And so Dick and I, we're having breakfast and we're talking about, hey, let's cancel this trip and reschedule and go some other time. Our team leader, Marilyn, said, bullshit. It's pretty much how the conversation went. Okay, so she called it, and we've been on into, this is Clearfield County, Pennsylvania. Dubois. There was a farm that was experiencing strange apparitions, lights, orbs. There was a report of a huge triangular craft that flew over the Walmart store in Dubois.
That happened 2 days before we got there.
Right, and my background is law enforcement, and there was a Pennsylvania State Police officer that was witness to it, so I was anxious to talk to him, and plus contact some of these other witnesses that were in the parking lot. According to their statements, the craft took up the entire parking lot. It was only about 500 feet off the ground when it went over. So they had some pretty good detailed description of what this craft looked like and what it was doing. We got to the farmhouse. Dick and Marilyn were checking into the hotel. I went on up to the farmhouse and was introduced to the people that had the property. Is that okay to say?
Yeah.
Dan and Alice. Nice couple. They let me stay in their basement next to the furnace on the top. Very appreciative. When we got there, there was another gentleman that had been it's called 516, and he'd been there investigating this area for about 3 years. And I met him, Mike, and he was giving me some of the background. Well, having been stuck in this F-250 for 26 hours, I had to get out and stretch my legs. And so I asked Dan, I said, hey, after the introductions and everything, it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they were forecasting more snow was coming. And the reason why I mention this is because the week before, it was like 80 degrees there. So this was a spring blizzard storm that came into the area, and there was a lot of snow on the ground. It was melting, but more snow was on the way, and it was kind of a hazy, cloudy. Sun was peeking out about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when we got to the farm. And Dan said, go ahead. And there was an apple orchard, and I'll let Dick and Marilyn give the background as far as there was a archaeological dig. There was an Indian village on the property. In fact, that's when they started to expand the house. They uncovered parts of the village, and I think the bones that they could.
Bones and a wall.
A wall.
Yeah.
And there's some interesting characteristics about what went on in that archaeological dig by Carnegie Mellon and the University of Pennsylvania. But getting back to the Bigfoot encounter.
That'll have to be another presentation.
Yeah. That's a story in itself. But anyway, walked out his back door. I had my duffel bag that had my pistol, camera, recording equipment, basically all of my possibles, if you will. The only thing I had on me was my trusty pocket knife, and I had a flip phone, Star Trek type phone at that time, for a cell phone, and that was it. I was only planning on walking out to the orchard. It was an apple peach orchard type deal. While we were walking, Mike was telling me about the Indians in the area, and he'd been researching it for about 3 years, and had found arrowheads and pieces of pottery and stuff like that, so I was intrigued. We walked down this little 2-lane gravel road, okay, onto a blacktop road, which was 2-lane, and we're probably maybe 75 or 100 yards from the house, and we're standing and talking, and across this wide open field, but keep in mind we're talking about very dense forest. If you're familiar with Western Pennsylvania, it's very mountainous, like West Virginia. What's that? Oh yeah. So I look at across maybe 400 or 500 yards. I can see all the way across this open field, and on the hillside I see a cave. Give me that. Will you do that? Thank you. See, there you go.
There's where.
There's the farmhouse up there, I think, in the upper right. Isn't that it?
No,
Is that another one?
to the right.
But it's close.
Yeah.
And there's that reclaimed quarry, that open area where you can see the road that I'm talking about, which that quarry worked out. I'm standing right here on this road, looking across this open area, and on this side, right in that, I can't touch it. But anyway, I see a cave.
Kind of make it out really. Up that top one.
And I go, Mike, and he'd been here several times for me. He goes, holy shit, he goes, I never noticed that before. Well, right away, we're talking Indian artifacts and caves and everything, so I hiked my butt across that field with him in tow, and I get up to the cave. I don't have a flashlight. All I have is my little trusty pocket knife, and I'm reluctant to stick my head too far into that cave because Pennsylvania has bears and coyotes and bobcats, and I had to run into the bobcat one time. I don't need to have another one. So I'm on the outside of this cave. Well, Mike goes up where it says Narrows Creek. He goes up on the ridge, which was about another 30, 40 feet. He goes, what the hell's he doing? And I thought at first he was talking to me. And I said, well, I'm looking around to see if there was any. Ah, here we go. That cave is right about here. Okay, that's where it is. Now, there's a 500, maybe 200 foot drop, sheer drop, from this ridge down to what they call Narrows Creek. But at that time, it was more like a river because it had all this moisture and it was running pretty much back and forth. But initially, what I thought, Mike was talking to me. He goes, what the hell? I thought he said, what the hell are you doing? But what he was saying was, what the hell is he doing? And I said, well, I want to come back here with my flashlight and check this cave out. And he goes, no. He said, down here in the creek. So I climbed up on the ridge and looked down, and I see this, what I thought was a person. To this day, it still could have been a person, I don't know. But I see this person walking in the creek. And like I said, it's running back full. And I thought initially that he was fishing. Being an avid fisherman myself, and there's a lot of trout in Western Pennsylvania, and I stand there and watch him, but he'd take a couple of steps, and then he would drop down to his knees in the water. And I told Mike, I said, well, he's not fishing. He's looking, being a gold panner. I got my gold equipment. I pan for gold. I'm from Colorado. And he's looking for gems and whatnot. There is diamonds and stuff that he found in Western Pennsylvania. So now my curiosity is really deep. And I start, oh, there we go. Yeah, well, initially, I start to go.
Mike says you can't go.
Yeah, I start to walk right towards the guy. And Mike goes, what are you doing? I said, well, I want to see what the hell he's looking for. And he goes, you can't. Because when you go through this tree line, right here, And it doesn't show it here very well, but it's about a 300, there you go. There's about a 300-foot drop off right here to right there. And it's straight down. But Mike tells me, he says, hey, go up about 1/8 of a mile, right up here, and there's a path that goes right down to Narrows Creek. So that's where I headed. I didn't know it at the time, but Mike just, about 6 weeks prior to that, had open heart surgery. And he had stents in his heart. And he was trying to keep up with me, and he says, Ken, he goes, I can't handle this pace. And I said, oh, okay. But he goes, no. He goes, just let me sit here. And he's right about here. And he goes, just let me sit here for a couple of minutes. If you go on, he said, I'll catch up. Okay. So there were 3 dead trees. I don't know if they show up here or not. 3 huge pine trees that were dead. And then off down in here was a cell phone tower. Before I started down this path, I knew where those dead trees were and where the cell phone tower was. So when I get down here in Narrows Creek, I walk out to where I thought I saw this guy kneeling down in the creek. I could see the dead trees up on the hill where we were standing, and I could see the cell phone tower to the southeast. And I know it's pretty close to the area. Well, he's not there for whatever reasons. So I start back along this path. Now there's a path. You can see this is Narrow Creek right here. And there's a path that the locals use for their 4-wheelers that they drive on, and that's what I was walking on. Now, at this time it was mud and snow and everything else. And I started back, and I was looking back up the path for Mike, looking for him to come down, and I just happened to stop, right? Cheer. Now, it doesn't show it here, but that whole area is inundated with willows. And there's about a
High brush.
willows.
Yeah.
The local homes call it brush, we call it willows. And there was about a 2-foot drop off from the path down to the river where I was standing. And I'm looking back up the path looking for Mike, expecting to see him come down around the corner. And out of my peripheral vision, I see movement. And so I turn and look, and I see this deer hanging upside down. Now, 31 years as a cop, and all my training, all of my experiences teaches you not to get tunnel vision. Okay, but that's exactly what happened. So much for all that training and experience, because I zeroed in on that deer, looking at it, and it's hanging upside down, and I can tell that it's dead. The tongue's hanging out, and its eyes are glazed over. And we're talking 12 feet from me. And I'm looking at this deer going, trying to put things in my mind, like, what the hell's that deer doing upside down? That's when I saw the shoulders and the head turn. And here I am looking at this creature. Now, let me tell you, what I saw was not an ape. I'm 12 feet from him, and I say him, it could have been a female. I did not see any genitalia that indicated any sexual preference. It was definitely an all shit moment, though. He or she was just as surprised to see me as I was to see it. What this is here, and what he or she was doing, was turning over rocks, getting crawfish. Those are mud puppies, I think you all call them.
Mud bugs, yeah.
Mud bugs. But there were crawfish all around his beard, I call his beard, fur. And I think he was grooming himself, kneeling down in the river. And when I stopped, I think my scent waffled over and he smelled me. He didn't know where I was, but he picked up my scent. And like I said, he or she was just as surprised to see me as I was to see it.
It brings its eyebrows.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, let me bring this up too. Had a nasty scar over its, right here above its eyebrow it looked like it ran all the way back into a scalp. I mean, it was a serious wound at some point in time that he or she had sustained. Was holding the deer with his right hand over his left shoulder. And people ask me, did you smell anything? I didn't smell anything. I suspect that he or she smelled me, but I did not smell anything. There was no stench of any kind. I saw its cheeks puff up, and the only thing I heard was this, as it sucked in air. And in the amount of time for me to realize that I'm looking at something extraordinary, it took off, running down Narrows Creek.
And the creek is about 3 to 6 inches deep, depending on where it is in the creek.
Yeah. And
Carried in here.
what?
Carried here.
Oh yeah, carried here. There's a cop in me. It ran, so I chased. And I'm chasing after him, hoping, please drop the deal. I wanted something to substantiate that I just had something completely out of my paradigm, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell it is. But he didn't, or she didn't. Kept it here.
I asked you, what
Did you yell,
stop? I guess you checked.
Slow down, Jim, bro.
Yeah. Hey, are you a he or she? But anyway, I lost it as it went down the creek. I could hear it running, splashing in the water, but I lost sight of it. And I would say probably in about half a dozen strides, it was gone. It was really, really quick. I'm not a real fast runner, but like I said, in a matter of seconds, it was gone. And I'm still in shock trying to figure out what the hell it was that I just encountered. I did not see the creature make the footprint. Okay, we have a print back there on the counter. Oh yeah, hey, there's my trusty potty knife.
Yeah, that's been handy.
Yeah, and you can see the toe. There's some deer prints right here. Okay, you can see the toe and the heel back here. I took the print into a podiatrist.
By the way, it was 38 degrees at that time. So the likelihood of somebody out there walking around barefoot in the creek is, I mean, it's still possible that somebody could have been, but it's not likely because of the weather.
The print was found within a matter of feet where I encountered this creature. I am 98% convinced that this print belongs to him.
Well, to remember, there's a creek. Takes a hard left turn after.
Real hard.
From the
Yeah.
downfalls in it.
Yeah, there was a lot of bush there.
So you'd have to move to the left.
Right in here. It makes a hard left-hand turn. It was more of a river when we were there, but the locals call it Narrows Creek. I took the cast over to a podiatrist in Clearfield. She didn't know anything other than, I was a retired cop. And I said, hey, what can you tell me about this? And she looked at it and she said, this is kind of interesting. She goes, oh, it's a print of a human, which made me feel better because what I encountered was not ape. It was more human. There was definitely intelligence behind the eyeballs.
But it had hair on its body, that was the difference.
Yeah. She also said, I think this person has sustained an injury. I go, what makes you think that? Because if you look, you'll see this bump right here. Here's the heel, and there's this bump, and she's looking at it. She goes, I think they broke their foot one time, which would correspond, I think, this is my opinion, with the injury and the scar tissue I saw in the scalp. So whatever happened to it, him or her, was pretty substantial and massive in the sense that it either got hit by a car, been in a fight with something, but it had sustained, maybe fell off one of those goddamn mountains up there in the wall. But yeah, she pointed that out, and I thought that was pretty interesting. It was pretty telling to me that the creature has sustained some type of injury. That pretty much shot looking for the cop that saw the UFO, because we spent the next 3 days trying to find additional prints. I bet you I walked 10 miles up here.
When you called us.
Oh, yeah. I didn't, here's the irony of it. I wouldn't have been there if it wouldn't have been for Maryland. Because, if it had been Dick and I, we'd have turned back and came back to Oklahoma. We'd have been back in Oklahoma. and my dad would say if frogs had wings, they wouldn't bump their ass when they jump. They don't, so they do. But had I had my binoculars, which was sitting right on top of my duffel bag back at the ranch, it would have been game over. Because I could have got the team out there, we could have followed him, and he would have not have known that we were 500 yards above him on a hillside watching the movement. And we could have documented a whole bunch of stuff. But, you know, coulda, should. That's one of those things, you know.
How tall was it?
I'm sorry, someone asked a question.
How tall was it?
How tall? I'm guessing, I'm 6'1", and I was eyeball to eyeball with him. But he had a 2-foot drop.
Oh,
It was about 2 feet between the path I was standing on and where he was standing down in the creek. So I'm guessing he was somewhere between 7.5 feet tall. And I'm guessing his weight was somewhere around 250, maybe 200 pounds. I think, and I didn't know diddly squat, I still don't, about Bigfoot, Yetis, Sasquatch. But I think what I encountered down there was a young adolescent.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my guess.
Now, you called us on the phone, we were upset about movies and the
Well, first I couldn't get a cell phone. Here, I could see a cell phone tower, but I couldn't get a cell phone
Down in that.
down in that damn creek. So I had to move until I finally got a signal, and I called the rest of the team, and my adrenaline was pumping. I was excited. I have to admit that. It took 3 glasses of wine after it was all over with just to get me back, just to get me back down. But Dick and Marilyn came down. Marilyn tested the water, and she goes, "God damn it, that is cold." It's a pretty rugged area, and one of my concerns, she fell in the creek, is hypothermia. And being from Colorado, I've experienced hypothermia while elk hunting, and let me tell you, it's a dangerous situation to be in. But she's a pretty stout lady. She said, "No, I'm okay." We were able to pour the calves that evening, and they came back the next morning. And well, not only that, but see, they were forecasting another 15 inches of snow was coming in. So we had to, either we did the cast right then, or we don't do it at all. And so we decided to go ahead and make the cast. And then the next morning, we came back. It was dark when we came out of there.
We wanted out of that canyon before it got real dark. So.
To this day, and this is, I've been asked this by some of my colleagues that I work with back in Colorado. I said, "Well, if you had your gun, would you have shot it?" The answer is no. I never felt threatened. Okay, I didn't feel. And what the hell am I going to do with that little bitty pocket knife anyway? Not a whole lot. And the way it read, I wasn't going to be able to outrun him, or her rather, whatever. There's Mike. There we are looking. That's Mike, the gentleman that had the heart surgery.
Michael Rombacher.
Rombacher, thank you. And that's Dan, right?
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you. Yeah, right. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Call me Dan.
Just don't call you late for dinner, right?
That's right.
That's in the house at the ranch. I'm looking at the calves.
Yeah, you're looking, it looks like a little bit.
Yeah. I didn't sleep well that night. The adrenaline rush. I'm still, even today, I'm still trying to put things into perspective as to what really happened and what did I actually see. When I look back over it in my mind's eye, like I tell you, what I saw, what I experienced was intelligence. It was not an animal in the sense that it was an ape. I didn't see an ape. The footprint, I think, confirms that it's humanoid, and it has a level of intelligence, I think, that probably is pretty close to Dick.
Couldn't pass it up, huh?
It could be help pay for gas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And explain to them about the drawing, how we got picture of Bigfoot?
The drawing was done by a
FBI forensic artist.
FBI forensic artist. And when she did it, and I was describing to her the feature thing, which is all done, she goes, on a scale of 1 to 10, how close are we? And I told her I gave her a 9.5, and she goes, why is it a 10? And the reason why, and I told her, I said, I don't know how to describe the look in its eyes. There was astonishment, and I'm sure that it was looking at my eyes, seeing the same thing. Like I said, it was an all shit moment. I basically caught it, pardon the pun, with its pants down, and it caught me really off guard. Because the last thing I ever expected to encounter was a creature.
Well, but you also told her it was done in pencil. There was no color to it.
Right. Yeah, she did it in a sketch in pencil, and I said, hey, it had all burned reddish and black streaks. Another thing interesting about it is that the fur came up over it, and I think it was grooming itself. Because I remember it glistening, so it was washing itself, I think. But down its back, from its shoulders down its back, you had this all burned reddish, and then went into a dark brown, like a stripe going down its back. And when it ran, I don't know how many hunters or whatever you have in here, but it ran like an elk. It didn't run like I was running. Okay, it had a spring to it.
Like a mule deer?
I'm sorry, what?
Like a mule deer?
Like a mule deer. Yeah. It had a real, had a hell of a stride, but it had a real spring to it. This one.
Was it on its hind feet or was it on its hands and feet? Was it in, look, a lot of people that they go out and research Bigfoot in Oklahoma, they have something they call 4x4 mode, when it's really moving, when it's over like the chin, and it's really.
He or she was running everything.
Bipedal.
When I was running after it, I'm doing one of these motions with my arms.
Yeah.
It wasn't doing that. Everything was moving from the waist on down.
Okay.
That's why I call it
It
running
was
like a mule
only
deer.
2 feet. It was very.
Yeah, it didn't run. It didn't put its other paw down on the ground and run that way.
What was its skin tone? Was it darker skin or was it light skin?
It was a kind of a brownish, auburn colored, not dark, but it, from what I could tell, with the fur covering its face and everything.
Have you talked to Dr. Bill?
No.
Okay.
I know who you're speaking out of
He's
University of
about to
Utah,
come,
Idaho.
Yeah, he's going to be in Onabi this October, so you might show him that print if you want to.
He's got a copy of it.
Oh, he does? That's
Yeah, he
good.
does. He went down to Texas. He was talking at a Bigfoot conference in Texas,
Yeah.
and Nick and I went down with the footprint and gave him a copy.
Has Chilcutt seen it?
Huh?
There's a guy, his name, he's Texas, he's former law enforcement, and he's like the fingerprint expert for Texas. And they have what they call dermal ridges on cats like that. And somebody looked at that. If it's a Bigfoot, the dermal ridges supposedly are different than a human head. You can tell by the ridges in the cast that he could make a cast that he could get the dermal ridges. And this guy in Texas, they were showing him all these casts from all these years in Texas. And he looked at like all 40 or 50 of them. And like he thought Bigfoot was just a bunch of bull. But it got down to like, and I'm just talking off the top of my head, it came to like 6 of them. And he said, these are something else because the dermal ridges. Yeah, they didn't run away with humans when they passed the human foot. So,
Yeah.
Do you think it's young because it doesn't have any weight? Hair up here?
I'm sorry.
Did it not have any hair up here at all?
No.
So he looks really human, like this.
That's what I'm saying. One of my colleagues back in Denver said, "Oh, hell, that's just a homeless guy." my retort to him
That was
was,
on his business.
well, my retort was, hey, I don't give a shit if he is homeless. I want his signature on a contract. For
There
the
you go.
You got that strong carrying around aluminum cans.
Yeah.
Did you ever go back?
Play football. So,
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm an avid hunter and fisher. I've hunted in Alaska, all over the Rocky Mountains. Hunted bear, cougar, elk, deer. Never ever did I encounter anything, anywhere, that indicated to me that such a creature exists. I have to go to Western Pennsylvania.
We talked about this on the way going around in Pennsylvania. I go to Canada, hunted and everything, and I just said, that's Bigfoot is and he, so both of us are paired out over here.
And
So it could happen to a better.
yeah, it definitely changed my view. And, I've done since then, I've tried to educate myself as much as possible. I've read about the skunk ape in Florida. I've read about some of the encounters in California, seen the Roger Giblin Patterson film and everything. And what I'm looking at does not match an ape.
Did you ever go back and find that cave?
Oh yeah,
Did you?
oh yeah.
Is there anything in there that?
No,
No.
no.
There's no bones. There was bones in there and some.
Yeah, I think, coyote or something had made it his home and drug in a kill or whatever. Oh yeah, I definitely went back there, because I was thinking maybe it's something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, maybe it's a house.
No, it didn't, and what's interesting is that the cave only went back maybe 4 or 5 feet, and that was
Oh,
it.
okay.
Huh.
But, not having a flashlight, I wasn't gonna stick my.
There are caves all over that. It's a limestone. And one story was that they were drilling for a well, and it busted through, and the whole well thing went all the way down. It was a big cavern, and they could feel the air coming up, so this one opened.
We,
We went back another time and Bob snuck out and there's like a lean-to kind of thing that's down in what they call the campground. It's a flat area where they cleared out the trees, and that's where they have their family gatherings and things. So there's picnic table there and stuff. And Bob stayed down in it's only got 3 walls. And he put up his sleeping bag down there, and something he thought it was a rock at the side of the building.
we did find other footprints that we made casts of. The whole time we were there, we found a couple other footprints in the area.
They weren't very good.
They weren't all that good because once again there was an awful lot of moisture and stuff that inundated that whole area, so they were solid.
So we did that Bigfoot there, and I went up with Tony, and he found out, he got thrown up the creek.
Right.
And actually, like that, and it does it all, because,
Yeah.
but the trouble is the gravel, so, we do the casting, all this gravel in it, but,
It distorts it a little bit.
yeah.
Well, we
I
talked,
had a big, beer.
we talked to several people in and around the farm up there, and one gentleman, earlier that fall, was deer hunting, and he was coming up out of the Narrows Creek area after the sun had set. This is late November, early December. And he said whatever it was up in a tree, because when he walked by, he heard it drop to the ground, and it was heavy, and it was big. He didn't see it, but he said, I heard it. Now, there was another gentleman that was up there, and I talked to him for quite a while. He goes, oh, shit. He said, there is no such thing. I've hunted turkeys up there all my life and deer, and I've never seen anything. And I'm thinking to myself when he's saying that, yeah, pal, I've been there. I don't know what to tell you, okay, but there's something out there in Pennsylvania woods. This is my opinion. I think these creatures are nomadic. They follow the food system, they follow the seasons. And so here we had, the week before, it was 80 degrees there. He stumbled, whether that deer was a roadkill or it had killed it itself, I have no way of knowing.
Looked like its neck was broken.
It looked like its neck was broken. But it was feeding on crawfish and venison, surf and turf. Okay, and I think they're on there, they'll eat anything, anywhere, at any time, if they have to.
I'll tell you what's interesting about that. When my sister reported her sighting, That one had a deer hanging over its shoulder too. And it stepped across the fence, walked across the road in front of her car, never looked at her. And it was early morning, it was daylight.
But you guys originally went to there to investigate this property that had the UFOs or orbs and all that. You weren't expecting the Bigfoot.
No,
Wow.
that was not, that was something that, yeah, we didn't go there because of
That's
that.
weird. That
There's
all goes on
a
there.
UFO Bigfoot correlation again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I heard that. Here's my take on that. Okay, I think that may be coincidental. It's just my opinion. Okay, I've heard that. I've had a number of people ask me because of the big triangular craft that was seen two days before we got there. Do you think that was related? I don't. Okay, I think it was purely coincidental. But hey, time will tell. I could be proven wrong. Yes, sir.
You said it seemed like it was hanging when you originally saw it, or was that just the impression you got until you noticed that it was...
The deer.
It's the deer.
Yeah.
It's like them.
That the deer was hanging from something? Or
It was over his shoulder.
Okay, so you just noticed eventually that it was actually being held rather than hanging down from...
If all my training and experience would not have failed me, I would have seen the head and the shoulders. Okay, because his back was to me. I would have seen that, but I didn't. I zeroed in on the deer, and that's tunnel vision. Okay, and I was trying to figure out why the hell that deer was hanging upside down. Well, it was over his shoulder, so he said, what?
I think people a lot of times see what they expect to see because they used to show this film at work. You may have seen it on your job where a bunch of people are passing the ball around and they have a guy run through with a chimp suit on or a gorilla suit, and you don't even see it because you're not expecting to see it. It's just like they're hypnotized or something. Then they do it in slow motion and you see the gorilla go through.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen, I think it
It's a
was two
weird
different
sight,
films,
you know.
they just tricked us.
You just, huh?
They just tricked us, it was two different films.
But it's the weirdest thing because the people watching, you're asking them, well, did you see the gorilla? And they're going, what? There wasn't any gorilla.
Well, we did in-service training, and even go through the academy.
Yeah.
They being the Clearfield pounds it into you, don't get tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And how you stop from getting tunnel vision is that you scan. Okay,
Right.
it keeps you from zeroing in. Even though I see you back there, I can also see the stove over here, the exit sign, and everything else. I take it all in, and that keeps you from zeroing in on. And the reason why they do that is because you got one suspect or maybe two. You just zero in on that one
Yeah,
suspect.
you don't see him.
You don't see them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember when they're asking you with this film, they asked the audience to count how many times the balls pass back and forth.
So there you go.
So everybody's concentrating on how many times they pass back and forth, and they don't even see the gorilla run around through the people.
Well,
Walks in the middle way.
I didn't see I didn't see the grill in this one either.
Well, you got
So much for that training.
I just meant when the deer is hanging. You weren't expecting to see it hanging on the back of something. You didn't expect to see that.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny? That
Yeah.
my initial
Yeah.
3/10 of a second was that deer got caught in high water and
Yeah.
was hanging in a tree.
Yeah.
Okay, not realizing that it was.
Yes.
You said it only got 12 feet away when it turned around.
Yeah, we measured it. Yeah, 516. We didn't look at on that one, but this time, we were prepared for Bigfoot. We brought a special, game camera that would report to our telephone that, got a picture. We went and bought some meat. We went and got some, crawfish scent. Well, let's spell that on the board. What was the cameras you got?
Oh, we had,
Vanilla, wasn't it?
no, it's a flower scent, oh gosh.
Anyway,
Honeysuckle.
so.
Honeysuckle, thank
Honeysuckle,
you.
yeah. So, my son and I went down to where we saw the creature, and we set up the game camera, and we put the honeysuckle out, we put crawfish twice around, purple up there, our birds, much. And also on meat, up with the branches and everything, and we baited it pretty good. So then we left, and next morning we come down and look at the pictures. There didn't get so far into this canyon, like he says with his cell phone, we really didn't get any pictures out. So when we looked at the pictures, you know, here's a crow down there looking at me. There's some deer wandering through.
Walk up to the camera.
And I walk in the camera, and nose on the lens. And that was it. So, okay, well, we're gonna move it on up the creek. Did that up there. The crows just followed. They weren't that big really bad. So, we got to find it. Yeah, and the thing never did, and that's where we kind of got into the nomadic idea. We talked to some people over Clearfield, Clearfield County, and they said, where do they go?